Dr. Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Endeavour and watched the strange ships approach. After 3 years of traveling through space, she finally saw aliens with her own eyes. The moment felt like a dream. The alien ships looked like living crystals that moved through space without engines. They were beautiful and scary at the same time. Sarah had spent her whole life studying space and dreaming of this moment. Now it was real. Captain Rodriguez stood next to her. His face was serious as he watched the alien ships come closer. "Remember, everyone," he said to his crew. "We represent all of Earth today. Stay calm and be respectful." Sarah nodded. She was the head scientist on this mission. Her job was to learn about alien life and culture. She had prepared for this moment for years, but her heart still beat fast with excitement and fear. The largest alien ship sent a message. The voice that came through their speakers was strange and musical. "Welcome, beings from Sol 3. We are the Vethrani Collective. We speak for many species in this part of the galaxy." Sarah smiled. They called Earth Sol 3, which meant they knew about her home planet. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen from Earth," she replied. "We come in peace to meet new friends and learn about the galaxy." There was a long silence. Then the alien voice came back, but it sounded different now. It sounded afraid. "Did you say Earth, Sol 3? The third planet from the yellow star called Sol?" "Yes," Sarah said. "That is our home." "Oh," another long silence. Sarah looked at Captain Rodriguez with worry. Something was wrong. "Please wait," the alien said. We must speak with our elders." The alien ships moved away from the Endeavour. Sarah could see them gathering in a circle, like they were having an urgent meeting. "What do you think that was about?" Captain Rodriguez asked. "I don't know," Sarah said. "But they seemed scared when I mentioned Earth." Dr. Kim, the ship's psychologist, joined them on the bridge. Did anyone else notice how their voice changed? They went from welcoming to terrified. In seconds. Sarah had noticed it too. The aliens had been friendly until she said where humans came from. Then everything changed. Hours passed. The human crew waited nervously while the aliens held their meeting. Finally, one of the crystal ships came back to the Endeavour. "We have spoken with our oldest and wisest members," the alien voice said. "We invite you to visit our station, but your ship must stay here. Only a small group may come aboard our vessel." Captain Rodriguez did not like this idea. "Why can't our ship come with us?" "Please understand," the alien said. "Your ship carries the essence of your world. It must not come near our home." Sarah and the captain looked at each other. This was getting stranger by the minute. "Fine," Captain Rodriguez said. "Dr. Chen, Dr. Kim, and I will come with you. The rest of the crew stays here." The alien ship that picked them up was like nothing Sarah had ever seen. The walls seemed alive and glowed with soft light. Strange symbols moved across the surfaces like flowing water. The air smelled like flowers and rain. A tall, thin alien greeted them. Its skin looked like blue glass, and its eyes were silver. "I am Quillion," it said in perfect English. "I will guide you to meet our elders." As they walked through the ship, Sarah saw many different types of aliens. Some looked like plants with faces. Others were made of what looked like living metal. Some floated in the air without wings or rockets. "How many species are in your collective?" Sarah asked. 47 species currently," Quillion said. "We have worked together for over 60,000 of your years." Sarah's eyes went wide. Humans had only been using metal tools for a few thousand years. These aliens had been traveling space longer than humans had existed as a civilization. They arrived at a huge round room filled with the strangest collection of beings Sarah could imagine. At the center sat the largest alien she had ever seen. It looked like a mountain made of living crystal. Its voice was deep and ancient when it spoke. "I am Elder Zethkri," it said. "I have lived for 50,000 years. I have seen the birth and death of stars. But never did I expect to meet beings from the severed world. The severed world? Sarah asked. You mean Earth? The crystal being seemed to shake with fear. You should not have come here. Your world is forbidden. It has been forbidden since before my birth. Captain Rodriguez stepped forward. Forbidden by whom? And why? By everyone, Elder Zethkri said. By every species that lives. By every species that has ever lived. Your world is marked in our oldest records. No one goes there. No one ever goes there. Sarah felt confused and scared. But why? What's wrong with Earth? The elder was quiet for a long time. Then it spoke very slowly. There are places in the galaxy where terrible things sleep. Places where reality itself is damaged. Your world is one of those places. We keep away because we want to live. That's impossible, Dr. Kim said. Earth is a normal planet. Humans have lived there for thousands of years. That, said the elder, is exactly what makes it so terrifying. The room fell silent. Sarah could feel all the alien eyes watching her and her friends. She realized that these ancient beings were not just afraid of Earth. They were afraid of humans. We offer you this, Elder Zethkri said finally. We will give you technology beyond your dreams. We will give you worlds to live on. We will teach you the secrets of the galaxy. All we ask is one thing. What? Captain Rodriguez asked. Never go back to Earth. Promise us that humans will leave that cursed world forever and never return. Sarah looked at her captain and her friend. She could see the same thoughts in their eyes that she felt in her heart. Earth was their home. It was where their families lived. It was where humanity was born. We cannot make that promise, Captain Rodriguez said. The crystal being's light dimmed with sadness and fear. Then you have doomed us all. Sarah Chen could not sleep. She lay in her guest room on the alien station, staring at the ceiling that glowed with soft patterns. 3 days had passed since Elder Zethkri told them to abandon Earth. 3 days of polite meetings and careful conversations that revealed nothing. The aliens were hiding something big. Every time Sarah asked about Earth, they changed the subject. When Captain Rodriguez demanded answers, they offered more gifts instead. Advanced medicine that could cure any disease. Ships that could travel between stars in days instead of years. Even immortality technology. But they would not explain why Earth was forbidden. Sarah got up and walked to her computer. If the aliens would not tell her the truth, she would find it herself. She was good with computers. And alien technology was not that different from human technology once you understood the basics. Dr. Kim found her 3 hours later, still typing commands into her computer. Sarah, what are you doing? I'm looking through their public records, Sarah said without looking up. Every civilization keeps records of their space exploration. I want to see what they wrote about our solar system. Did you find anything? Sarah turned her computer screen so Dr. Kim could see it. Look at this star map. See that empty space around our sun? Every single alien species marks it the same way. Dr. Kim squinted at the strange alien symbols. What do those symbols mean? Danger, death, forbidden, stay away. Sarah scrolled through more files. Kim, this goes back over 100,000 years. Species that died out before humans existed were already avoiding Earth. That's impossible. Earth was fine 100,000 years ago. Early humans were just learning to use fire. I know. But look at this. Sarah opened another file. This is from a species called the Mortaki. They went extinct 50,000 years ago. But before they died, they sent warnings to every other species they knew. The warning was about Earth. Dr. Kim read the translated text on the screen. The severed world must remain untouched. What sleeps there must never wake. The price of curiosity is the end of all things. Every dead species left the same warning, Sarah said. They all called Earth the severed world. They all said something sleeps there. But what could be sleeping on Earth? We live there. We would know if something dangerous was hiding on our own planet. Sarah did not answer. She had found something else in the files, something that made her hands shake as she typed. Kim, look at this. These are records of something called the Architects. Who were they? The oldest species anyone knows about. They built things that still exist today. Ring worlds around stars. Artificial planets. They could move entire solar systems. What happened to them? Sarah's voice was very quiet when she answered. They vanished. Not died. Vanished. And the last place they were seen was near our solar system. Dr. Kim sat down hard in a chair. Sarah, you're scaring me. I'm scaring myself. Sarah opened more files. The architects left behind only one message. It was broadcast across the entire galaxy in every language and every mathematical system they could think of. What did it say? Sarah read from the screen. The Sol system is quarantined. What sleeps there must never wake. What was severed must remain severed. This is the final warning of the architects. Do not repeat our mistake. Our mistake? What mistake? Before Sarah could answer, someone knocked on the door. It was Quillian, the blue alien who had been assigned as their guide. Dr. Chen, Dr. Kim, Quillian said. May I come in? I think we need to talk. Sarah quickly closed her computer files. Of course. Quillian entered the room and looked around nervously. Then it made sure the door was locked. I know what you have been doing. Dr. Chen. You have been reading our archives. Sarah's heart started beating fast. I was just curious about galactic history. Please do not lie to me. I helped design the computer systems you are using. I know exactly what files you accessed. Quillian sat down and looked very tired. You want to know the truth about your world? Yes. I am young by our standards. Only 3,000 years old. But I have always been curious about the forbidden zone around your star. My elders forbid such curiosity. But I have studied what little information exists. Dr. Kim leaned forward. What did you find? Your people are not the first to come from Earth. Sarah felt cold. What do you mean? 7 times in recorded history, beings have come from your solar system. They looked different each time. But they always came from the 3rd planet. And every time they came, terrible things happened. What kind of terrible things? Quillian was quiet for a long moment. The first time was 90,000 years ago. They called themselves the Builders. They offered to help other species create wonderful things. Entire civilizations trusted them. Within 1 generation, those civilizations had vanished completely. Not destroyed. Vanished. As if they had never existed at all. That's not possible, Dr. Kim said. The second time was 60,000 years ago. They called themselves the Shepherds. They said they wanted to guide younger species to enlightenment. 12 species accepted their guidance. Those 12 species are still missing. Sarah's mouth was very dry. What about the other times? Each time was different. But the result was always the same. Species that trusted the beings from Earth disappeared from reality itself. That is why we fear your world. That is why it is forbidden. But we're not like that, Sarah said. Humans don't make people disappear. We're explorers and scientists. We want to make friends. That, Quillian said sadly, is exactly what they all said. Sarah felt like the room was spinning. Are you saying humans are evil? No. I do not think you are evil. I think you are something much more dangerous than evil. I think you are something that does not understand what it really is. Dr. Kim stood up suddenly. This is crazy. You're talking about impossible things. People don't just vanish from reality. Quillian looked at them both with its silver eyes. Dr. Kim, may I ask you a question? How did humans develop space travel so quickly? What do you mean? Most species take millions of years to evolve intelligence, then hundreds of thousands of years to develop technology, then tens of thousands of years to achieve spaceflight. Humans went from primitive tool use to interstellar travel in less than 10,000 years. That is impossibly fast. Sarah had never thought about it that way. Human technological development had been remarkably fast compared to what they expected from evolution. There is something else, Quillian continued. Something the elders do not know I discovered. There are watchers around your solar system. Watchers? Ships that appear whenever anyone approaches your sun. They do not attack or communicate. They just watch. And when the visitors become frightened and leave, the watchers disappear. What do these watcher ships look like? Sarah asked. Quillion hesitated. They look like human ships, but very old human ships. Older than your species should be able to build. Sarah and Dr. Kim stared at each other. The mystery was getting deeper and more frightening with every answer they found. Quillion, Sarah said slowly. Will you help us find the truth? Quill? The alien was quiet for a long time. Finally, it nodded. Yes. But I fear we will not like what we discover. Our God. 6. Quillion led Sarah and Dr. Kim through the darkest parts of the alien station. They walked through corridors that few people were allowed to see. The walls here were different. Older and covered with symbols that hurt to look at directly. Where are we going? Sarah whispered. To the Archive of Lost Things, Quillion replied. This is where we keep records of the expeditions that never returned. They arrived at a huge room filled with floating crystals that glowed with soft light. Each crystal contained information about ships and crews that had vanished near Earth over thousands of years. Quillion touched one of the crystals, and it began to show images in the air above them. This was the last expedition to approach your solar system. It happened 2,000 years ago. Sarah watched as the images showed a fleet of alien ships moving through space toward a familiar yellow star. As they got closer to Earth's sun, something strange began to happen. Look carefully, Quillion said. Watch the edges of the screen. Sarah saw them then. Dark shapes that appeared from nowhere. Ships that looked wrong somehow, like they were made of shadows and starlight. The Watchers, Dr. Kim breathed. The shadow ships surrounded the alien expedition but did nothing else. They just waited. On the alien ships, the crews became more and more frightened. Finally, the expedition turned around and fled back to deep space. As soon as they began to retreat, the shadow ships vanished as if they had never been there. Every expedition saw the same thing. Quillion explained. The Watchers appear, watch, and then disappear when the visitors leave. But you said they look like human ships, Sarah said. Those looked like living shadows. That recording is 2,000 years old. Our technology was not as good then. Quillion touched another crystal. This recording is only 50 years old. The new images were much clearer. Sarah's heart stopped when she saw what the Watchers really looked like. The ships were definitely human in design, but they were wrong in ways she could not explain. They were too smooth, too perfect, and they seemed to bend light around them. That's impossible, Doctor, Kim said. Those ships look more advanced than anything we have now, but they're clearly built by humans. How can human ships be older than human civilization? Quillion showed them more recordings. In each one, the Watcher ships were slightly different, but they were always clearly human. Some looked like ships from Earth's past, others looked like ships from Earth's possible future. There's something else, Quillion said quietly. In the clearest recordings, we can see inside the Watcher ships through their windows. Sarah did not want to ask, but she had to know. What do you see? Round. Humans. But they are wrong too. They look like humans. But they never move. They never blink. They just stare out at approaching ships with empty eyes. Dr. Kim sat down on the floor. This is getting too crazy. Dead humans and impossible ships guarding our home planet? It sounds like a ghost story. What if it is not a ghost story? Sarah asked. What if those ships and people are real? Commander Liu's voice came through their communicators. Dr. Chen, please return to the Endeavor immediately. Captain Rodriguez needs to see you. They hurried back to their ship. Captain Rodriguez was waiting with a very worried expression on his face. Sarah, the situation has changed, he said. The alien leadership is having a huge argument about what to do with us. What kind of argument? Half of them want to destroy our ship to prevent us from going back to Earth. The other half thinks that if we came from Earth and we're still alive, maybe the old warnings are wrong. Sarah felt sick. They want to kill us? Some of them do. But Elder Zethkri convinced them to try something else first. They want to send a joint expedition to Earth, their best scientists, and ours, together, to find out the truth once and for all. Dr. Kim shook her head. That sounds incredibly dangerous. It is, Captain Rodriguez agreed. But it might be our only chance to get home alive. If we refuse, the aliens who want to destroy us might win the argument. Sarah thought about everything she had learned in the past few days. Ancient warnings, vanished civilizations, impossible human ships guarding Earth. None of it made sense, but all of it pointed to the same conclusion. Something was very wrong with humanity's homeworld. Captain, she said slowly, what if the aliens are right? What if there really is something dangerous on Earth? Then we need to know what it is, Captain Rodriguez replied. Earth has our families, our friends, our entire civilization. We can't just abandon them because of ancient warnings and scary stories. What if the scary stories are true? Captain Rodriguez was quiet for a moment. Then he said, then humanity deserves to know the truth about itself. Quillian spoke up. There is something else you should know about this expedition. The collective is bringing their most powerful weapons and their strongest shields. They are preparing for war. War against what? Against whatever is sleeping on your world. Against the Watchers. Against the thing that made the architects disappear. Quillian looked very scared. They believe that approaching Earth might wake up something that has been asleep for a very long time. Sarah thought about her home planet. She remembered blue skies and green forests and the smell of rain on summer evenings. She remembered her mother's garden and her father's workshop. How could such a peaceful place hide cosmic horrors? When do we leave? She asked. Tomorrow, Captain Rodriguez said. The collective is assembling the largest fleet they have ever created. 50 ships with the most advanced technology in the galaxy. 50 ships just to visit one planet? 50 ships because they are terrified of what one planet might contain. That night, Sarah stood in the observation deck of the Endeavour and looked out at the alien fleet gathering around them. Each ship was a masterpiece of technology that humanity could not even understand. Some were living creatures bred for space travel. Others were made of materials that did not exist in nature. A few seemed to be built from crystallized time itself. All of this power and knowledge assembled because ancient aliens were afraid of her home. Dr. Kim joined her at the window. Having second thoughts? Every second, Sarah replied. But we have to go. If there really is something wrong with Earth, we need to warn everyone. And if there's nothing wrong? If this is all just fear and superstition? Sarah watched one of the alien ships change shape like a living thing. Then we get to go home and laugh about the time we scared the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Do you think we'll be laughing? Sarah was quiet for a long time. No, she said finally. I don't think we will. The next morning, the greatest fleet in galactic history began its journey toward a small blue planet that everyone feared. At the center of the fleet, 50 of the most advanced warships ever built surrounded one small human vessel carrying 3 people who were about to discover that home was not what they remembered. As they entered hyperspace, Sarah wondered if they would ever see Earth the same way again. She suspected that after this journey, nothing would ever be the same. The journey to Earth took 3 weeks, but something was wrong from the very beginning. As soon as the fleet entered human space, reality began to act strangely. Sarah noticed it first when she looked at her coffee cup. The liquid inside was moving upward instead of settling down, like gravity had forgotten which way to pull. When she pointed this out to Dr. Kim, the coffee suddenly behaved normally again. Did you see that? Sarah asked. Dr. Kim looked at the coffee cup with confusion. See what? It looks normal to me, but it was not just the coffee. Clocks ran backward for a few seconds, then forward again. Lights flickered in patterns that spelled out words in languages nobody could read. The walls of the ship sometimes became transparent, showing the cold emptiness of space, then solid again. Captain Rodriguez called Sarah to the bridge. Our instruments are going crazy, he said. According to our computers, we've been traveling for 3 days, and also 3 years, and also negative 12 hours. Sarah looked at the readings and felt her head spin. That's impossible. Everything about this place seems impossible. Captain Rodriguez pointed out the window. Look at the stars. Sarah looked and gasped. The stars were moving. Not slowly like they normally did as ships traveled through space, but quickly, like someone was spinning a giant wheel. Some stars grew brighter as she watched. Others dimmed and went out completely. It's like space itself is broken here, Captain Rodriguez said. Commander Liu joined them on the bridge. His face was very pale. Captain, some of the crew are reporting strange dreams. Dreams about people they've never met, who claim to be their family. Dreams about living in places that don't exist. What kind of places? Cities that float in the sky, oceans made of light, forests where the trees grow downward into the ground. Commander Liu shook his head. The dreams feel more real than being awake. Sarah's communicator buzzed. It was Quill Eon calling from the alien flagship. Dr. Chen, you need to see this. We are detecting something at the edge of your solar system. Sarah looked at the main screen as it showed what their sensors had found. 3 ships waited in the darkness between stars. They were clearly human ships, but they were wrong in ways that hurt to think about. They looked like ships built by someone who had seen human technology but did not understand why humans built things the way they did. The Watchers, Sarah whispered. As if they had heard her, the 3 ships began to move toward the fleet. They moved without any visible engines, gliding through space like fish swimming through water. Captain Rodriguez opened communications with the lead alien ship. This is Captain Rodriguez. Are those ships a threat? Elder Zethkri's voice came through the speakers. It sounded terrified. We do not know. They have never come this close before. Usually they watch from a distance. The Watcher ships stopped a few kilometers away from the fleet. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, they began to transmit. The voice that came through the communication system was human, but it was wrong. It sounded like someone trying to remember how to speak after being silent for a very long time. Welcome home, the voice said. We have been waiting for you. Sarah felt ice in her veins. Who are you? We are the Watchers. We are the Guardians. We are what remains of those who came before. The voice paused. We are you. Dr. Kim grabbed Sarah's arm. What does that mean? It means you have finally returned to discover the truth. It means the cycle begins again. The voice from the Watcher ships grew sad. We hoped this time would be different. We hoped this iteration would choose a better path. And what iteration? Captain Rodriguez demanded. What cycle? What are you talking about? Follow us, the voice said. See what you have forgotten. See what you were before you chose to forget. Oh, the 3 Watcher ships turned and began moving deeper into the solar system. The alien fleet followed, but Sarah could hear nervous chatter from the other ships. The aliens were more frightened than ever. As they approached Earth, Sarah felt her heart lift with joy. There it was. The blue marble she had dreamed of seeing again. White clouds swirled over green continents and blue oceans. It looked exactly like home, but then she looked closer. Captain, she said slowly, something's wrong with the continents. Captain Rodriguez brought up a map of Earth on his screen and compared it to what they were seeing. You're right. The shapes are similar, but they're not exactly the same. South America is too big, Africa is the wrong shape, and there's an extra island in the Pacific Ocean. Dr. Kim was studying other readings. The moon is wrong too. The craters are in different places. And it's too close to Earth. Sarah felt sick. That's not our Earth. The voice from the Watcher ship spoke again. This is your Earth. This is the Earth we rebuilt after the original was severed from reality. This is the Earth where each new iteration of humanity grows up, believing it is the first. Severed from reality? Sarah asked. What does that mean? 200,000 years ago, the first human civilization developed faster than light travel. But they were too eager, too curious. They opened a hole in space-time itself. Your original Earth was pulled through that hole, into a dimension where the laws of physics are different, where consciousness and reality mix together, where thoughts become real and reality becomes fluid. Captain Rodriguez stared at the beautiful planet below them. So this Earth is a copy, a reconstruction, built by those who escaped the original disaster, built so that humanity could try again, could grow again, could have another chance to choose a different path. Sarah felt like everything she had ever known was crumbling. Are you saying we're not real? You are real. Your feelings are real. Your lives are real. But your history is not what you think it is. Humanity is not young. Humanity is the oldest species in the galaxy, older than the Vethrani, older than the architects, older than anyone remembers. Dr. Kim sat down hard in her chair. How many times has this happened? This is the 7th iteration. The 7th time humanity has grown from primitive tribes to spacefaring civilization on this reconstructed Earth. The 7th time you have discovered the truth about yourselves. What happened to the other 6 iterations? The voice from the Watchers was very quiet. They made their choices. Some became the architects, trying to fix reality itself. Some became energy beings, abandoning physical form entirely. Some chose to shepherd younger species, guiding them away from the same mistakes. Others chose to reset the cycle, returning to the severed Earth and becoming gods in their broken dimension. Sarah looked at the Earth below. Beautiful, perfect, and completely wrong. What about you? What did you choose? We chose to watch, to guard, to wait for each new iteration, to discover the truth, to hope that someday, humanity would find a better path than the ones we took. The alien ships around them were completely silent. Sarah realized that the Vethrani and all the other species had evolved in the shadow of humanity's repeated rise and fall. They were the younger species, living in a galaxy that humanity had already shaped and reshaped multiple times. The other species, Sarah said. They evolved after we did. Yes, each time humanity makes its choice, the galaxy changes. The Vethrani evolved during the 4th iteration. Many other species arose during the gaps between human civilizations. They learned to fear Earth because they remember, in their genetic memory, what happens when humanity awakens to its true nature. Captain Rodriguez looked out at the beautiful, wrong planet below them. So what happens now? Now you choose, the Watchers said, as every iteration before you has chosen. The choice is always the same, but the consequences ripple through all of space and time. Sarah felt the weight of infinite possibility pressing down on her. Somewhere below them was a world full of people who thought they were living normal lives on their home planet. They had no idea that their entire reality was built on the bones of civilizations that had risen and fallen 6 times before. What are our choices? She asked, though she was afraid to hear the answer. Come to the surface, the Watchers replied. See the truth with your own eyes. Then decide the fate of not just humanity, but of all life in the galaxy. As their ship began its descent toward the wrong Earth, Sarah wondered if knowledge was always this heavy, or if some truths were too big for any mind to carry. Sarah stood on the surface of the wrong Earth and felt her world break apart. Everything looked perfect. The grass was green, the sky was blue, and birds sang in the trees. It looked exactly like the home she remembered. But now she knew it was all a lie. The Watchers had landed near them. For the first time, Sarah could see them clearly. They looked human, but they were wrong in the same way their ships were wrong. Their skin was too pale, their eyes too bright, and they never blinked. They moved like people who had forgotten how bodies were supposed to work. Welcome to the 7th Earth, one of the Watchers said. Its voice was sad and tired. We built it exactly like the first one. Every mountain, every river, every forest. We wanted each new iteration of humanity to have the same chances we had. Dr. Kim was using her instruments to scan the environment around them. "The readings are impossible," she said. "The rocks are too young, the soil is too perfect, even the fossils are wrong. Because this world is only 60,000 years old," the Watcher explained. "We built it after the sixth iteration made their choice. We seeded it with primitive humans, who had no memory of what came before. We watched them grow from hunters and gatherers into the civilization you represent today." Captain Rodriguez looked angry. "You mean our entire history is fake?" "Not fake," repeated. "Humanity has lived through the same basic story 7 times. The details change, but the pattern remains the same. You develop tools, then agriculture, then cities, then technology, then space travel. Then you discover the truth." Sarah walked to the edge of a cliff and looked out at the landscape below. Cities that looked exactly like the ones from Earth, spread across the continents. Millions of people lived down there, going about their lives, completely unaware that their entire reality was a reconstruction. "What happened to the original Earth?" she asked. The Watcher joined her at the cliff edge. "It still exists, but not in this dimension. The first humans tore a hole in reality itself when they tried to travel faster than light. The planet was pulled through into a place where consciousness and matter are the same thing, where thoughts become reality, and reality can be reshaped by will alone. And the people who live there now? They have become gods. They can create anything they imagine. They can live forever. They can reshape entire universes with a thought." The Watcher's voice became very sad. "But they are alone. They are the only things that exist in their dimension. They have ultimate power, but no one to share it with." Dr. Kim looked up from her instruments. "How is any of this possible? How can you rebuild an entire planet? How can you create people? How can you create people? Because humanity is not what you think it is," the Watcher said. "You are not a young species that evolved on one world. You are the first species, the template from which all consciousness springs. Every thinking being in the galaxy carries a spark of humanity within them." Sarah felt dizzy. "That's impossible, is it? Look at the species you met in the collective. They all have something human about them. The way they think, the way they organize their societies, the way they develop technology. They evolved in patterns that echo humanity, because consciousness itself follows human patterns." Captain Rodriguez shook his head. "You're saying we created all intelligent life in the galaxy? Not created, inspired. When the first humans achieved cosmic consciousness, they sent ripples through space and time. Those ripples influenced how intelligence developed throughout the galaxy. Every species that thinks in patterns that humanity established." Sarah sat down on the grass and put her head in her hands. The weight of this knowledge was too much. "So what are our choices? What do we do with this information?" The Watcher looked at her with its 2 bright eyes. "The same choices every iteration has faced. First, you can reset the cycle. Return to the original Earth in its broken dimension. Live as gods but doom the 8th iteration of humanity to discover this same truth. What's the second choice? Break the cycle entirely. Destroy the barriers between dimensions. Merge the original Earth with this one. But doing so would erase all human history and might destroy the galaxy itself." Dr. Kim looked up. "What's the third choice? Become shepherds like we did. Guide the younger species. Protect them from making the same mistakes. But remain trapped in this endless cycle of watching new humans grow up and face the same choice. And the fourth? Transcend physical existence entirely. Become pure consciousness, but abandon all the humans living on this earth to face the choice without guidance." Sarah stood up and looked at the beautiful, fake sky. "Have any of the iterations found a 5th choice?" "No," the Watcher said. "Every iteration hopes they will be different. Every iteration believes they can find a better way. But the mathematics of reality only allow for these 4 paths." Captain Rodriguez walked to their ship and opened a communication channel to the alien fleet above them. "Elder Zethkri, are you receiving this?" The crystal alien's voice came through clearly. Yes, human Rodriguez. We have heard everything. We now understand why our ancestors feared your species. What will you do if we choose to reset the cycle? We will continue to evolve and grow until the 8th iteration discovers the truth. Then we will have this conversation again. And if we choose to break the cycle, we will probably die along with everything else. But perhaps something new and better will grow from the ashes. Frode. Sarah walked back to the Watchers. How long do we have to decide? As long as you want. Time moves differently here. You could spend years thinking about this choice, and only moments would pass in the normal universe. Dr. Kim joined Sarah and Captain Rodriguez as they stood together looking at the impossible world around them. What do you think we should do? I don't know, Sarah said honestly. Every choice leads to loss. Every path means abandoning something precious. Maybe that's the point, Captain Rodriguez said quietly. Maybe the choice isn't about finding the perfect solution. Maybe it's about accepting responsibility for the consequences of whatever we choose. Sarah looked up at the stars, which she now knew were lit by the dreams of previous human iterations. She thought about her parents, living their lives on this reconstructed Earth with no knowledge of the cosmic tragedy they were part of. She thought about the alien species, evolved in humanity's shadow, waiting to learn their fate. She thought about the humans on the original Earth, who had become gods but had lost their humanity in the process. There is one thing I want to know, Sarah said to the Watchers. If consciousness follows human patterns, if every thinking being carries a spark of humanity, then what makes humans special? What makes us different from the species we inspired? The Watcher smiled for the first time since they had met. It was a sad smile, but it was real. Humans are the only species that gets to choose. Every other form of consciousness follows the patterns we established. But humans can break patterns. Humans can choose to be different. Even when all the choices are bad, especially then, the ability to choose your own tragedy is the most human thing of all. Sarah looked at her friends, at the alien ships above them, at the perfect world that was built on lies. Then she looked at the Watchers, who had been guardians for so long they had forgotten how to be human. I know what I want to choose, she said finally. But this decision belongs to all of humanity, not just to us. She turned back to the ship's communication system. This is Dr. Sarah Chen to all of Earth. We need to talk. As she began to broadcast the truth to 7 billion people, who were about to learn that their entire reality was the 7th attempt at getting humanity right, Sarah realized that perhaps the most human choice of all was to let humanity choose together. The galaxy held its breath as Earth awakened to its true nature once again. Some species watched with hope, others with fear. All of them waited to see what the 7th iteration of humanity would decide to become. And in dimensions where time flowed differently, 6 previous iterations of humanity paused in their godhood, their transcendence, their shepherding, and their watching, to see if this time would finally be different. The choice was humanity's to make, as it always had been, as it always would be, until they finally decided what they truly wanted to become.